morning, guys. Got a busy week ahead of us this week. We are going to be tackling the garden, going to be tackling some home decor, some fall decoration. We are also going to be tackling some skirting on the house. So lots to do this week. We're going to start with some decor, get some fall hay bales out, some pumpkins, get the house looking good. And then from there, we're going to go into actually throwing some skirting on the house. We got started with that a little bit ago. As you can see in the background, we're going to finish that up here soon. And then we are going to get started on the garden. We're putting some cinder blocks down on the garden itself, kind of cleaning up that area, getting it going. Right now, I'm getting ready to feed Copper. This is his quintessential feeding spot. He gets to enjoy his food in the pasture. So we're very thankful for that. But yes, busy week. So stay tuned to see what we have in store. So today we are taking some of this old sheet metal that we found just under this truck here, and we are going to use this as skirting for our house. So we're taking some of these pieces of metal, which are in pretty good shape, and we are going to be using them as skirting on our house. What do you think, Samuel? Yeah, so we got a little ways to go. Our truck's in the shop, so we'll be carrying them by hand. But here goes nothing. One of the most frequent questions we get is, how do we afford this place? How did you find 60 acres of land? How did you find an old house that has all these things on it? Well, the answer is, practically speaking, we moved to the cheapest state in America. West Virginia is the cheapest state in America when you look at a few different statistics. One of those being how long $1 million will go. If you only had $1 million to live, and what state would it go the longest. And if you guessed West Virginia, you'd be right. It would go 87 years in West Virginia with $1 million. So that's the cheapest state statistic that we saw. That kind of inspired our search, actually. We wanted to go somewhere where we didn't have to spend an arm and a leg. We're not rich by any means, and we wanted to make sure that we could provide our children an opportunity to still have access to the outdoors and still be in a safe environment. So we found West Virginia to be fit in that bill. We searched Zillow. We looked and talked to a lot of different realtors, looked at a lot of different listings. And to be honest, Zillow is going to be your friend here. Zillow has pretty much every single house that you could ever imagine. If you're not listing your house in 2025 on Zillow, then there's definitely a problem there. So I would say definitely look at Zillow. That's where we found our property. Throw in some key search words, maybe do some acreage search. I only want a house that has this many acres. I want it under this price. And you'd really be surprised of what you could find, especially here in these rural areas out east, specifically West Virginia and Kentucky and parts of Tennessee, parts of North Carolina, maybe even Ohio. You can find a lot of cheap land. Just got to be looking for the right property and have to be willing to move out there. But yeah, use Zillow. Really try to take your time to find what you want, what your family wants, what works for you, and just keep researching. And when the right property comes on the market, be ready to jump on it. Guys, today we are in the garden tackling a few tasks. What do we got on the agenda?
We're going to build raised garden beds. We're going to set up a bird feeder, and we're going to work on our riverstone patio a little bit.
Yep, so we're going to use some of those concrete cinder blocks that we removed earlier to make some new and improved garden beds. A, we didn't need as much garden beds as were there originally, and B, we wanted something a little bit more manageable. We're going to fill it with some hay, with some boxes, just to give us a little bit better soil. So we wanted to start fresh, and today's the day for that.
Let's get to it. So our main goal with this garden area was first and foremost to clear it out so we had a usable space. Before, there was 4 large, very crooked garden beds here that were just so overgrown with weeds that we eventually realized that they were unusable. They also weren't raised garden beds, and we weren't able to build them up to the height that we wanted because of how crooked they were. So because of that, we had to remove all the cinder blocks from this garden, which was really backbreaking labor. It's honestly taken us months to complete it, although you guys have only seen a few days of the work. And then we wanted to put in new raised garden beds. We reused a lot of the cinder blocks that we removed to make this U-shaped garden bed here. It is a much smaller space for gardening, but it's all we're going to need for now. If we want to expand as we start growing more of our own food and things, we absolutely can. That's not going to happen this year, but when we want to, we're going to have all this space on the other side of the garden where we can put some very large raised garden beds to grow our food. For now, we're fairly new to gardening and doing this, so we wanted to start small.
Samuel.
And no matter what, we wanted to have a garden bed here that we could see when we're sitting over at the pizza oven and cooking and having our family pizza nights and things. Because at some point, I might actually make this just a flower garden bed, so that I can have a cut flower garden, so I can always have fresh flowers in our kitchen. But to start, it's going to be a kitchen garden and a medicinal garden, and it's really just the perfect size for us to start experimenting. And the shape is also really convenient because I can be standing in one spot and I can tend to this whole little garden area. So it's just really convenient. It'll be a great first garden for us, especially with having a newborn around. Won't be too much space to tend to, and because they're raised, we're hopefully going to keep the possibility of weeds down.
Morning, guys. Today we are finishing up the garden bed. We're putting the rest of the cinder blocks down, gonna fill it with some hay and some dirt and some boxes and get it ready to go. All right, guys, so we have the garden bed cinder blocks in place. Now we are going to throw all these boxes underneath. We've been saving these boxes really for a while now. Sorry about that. As we've been moving, we've accumulated a lot of them, so we decided to save them, and now we're gonna throw them into the garden bed. Next step, we're going to grab some of this old compost here. We're going to put it on top of the hay. Unfortunately, all we have is this wheelbarrow, so I'm going to scoop up all the compost that I can, wheel it over to the garden beds, and then put it on top of the hay. Another question we get a lot is, how do we afford to homestead? Not just buying the property. I mean, how do we physically make money every single month to be able to pay our bills, buy the food that we need? Well, I work a full-time job. I work in the tech industry, and I am fortunate enough to work from home. Now, it didn't always start like that. I had to work my way through the industry a little bit to get that opportunity, but now I do work from home, and it is a great opportunity for my family and I. I love what I do. I love my job and the people that I work with, and it's a great opportunity for us, and it allows me the privilege to be here kind of in the middle of nowhere and work. We have Starlink that gives me super fast Wi-Fi connection, and never drop a call, never drop a meeting, so we're very thankful for Elon Musk and his Starlink technology. Another question that we get a lot is, when are we going to get animals? You know, people have been asking what animals we're going to get. We're going to get chickens, we're going to get pigs, we're going to get goats, all that good stuff. And we are planning on getting animals. We just had to put a little pause on our timeline for that when we found out that we were having a baby. Instead of getting the house and property ready for animals, we have to get it ready for a newborn baby. So that's kind of what's going to come first in our timeline, is we're going to have this baby and make sure mommy and baby are all healthy. And then from there, we're going to start progressing our way to getting some animals. We're going to start with some chickens and then work our way to some pigs, Lord willing. And then we are considering goats. I know it's been a really hot commodity in our comment section about how they would help eat up all of our weeds and bushes and whatnot, and we are definitely taking that in consideration. But we just have to make sure that we have the proper fencing and structures to keep them engaged. So for now, we are definitely considering getting goats, and like I said, the plan is to get chickens, pigs, and goats after the baby is all ready to go.